So everything looks fine. I'm going to see the, give me a second, the classroom chat, just in case. Thank you, I have to leave after a bit, so I will look back for the recording. Yeah. I'm going to record the class for the new ones that are here. Happy New Year to everyone. So, just getting started, I'm going to talk about the previous class. So, the previous class that I did 2 weeks ago, I hope that some of you guys have saw that class. I talked about a few elements that we should consider about studying composition. I talk about contrast in light, value, color, and shapes. And also I talked about unity with variety. Unity with variety. And I'm going to explain you guys just to, in case you haven't seen the previous class, because I don't have the recording. I have the recording, but in Spanish. So sorry about that. But don't worry, I'm going to talk about those things from the previous class right now. So last time we talked about, like I was saying, about contrast in value, which is light. Also, do you see the Photoshop, right? Just checking in Oscar class, another thing in the other classroom. Oh yeah, the other classroom, right? Oh, no. Give me a second, because I have another channel, a Discord channel, and there are people over there. Classroom. Okay, there are people in the other room. So like I was just saying, we talk about contrast in value and light, color, shapes. Also, unity. So why did I talk about these topics last time? Because we can use these elements to make our composition more interesting. I said that we can think about compositions in terms of light and value, which is the same thing. Value is the amount of light of the color. So if, for example, we have a black square, our canvas is almost black. Like, for example, there is a darker room, and we have to put a character on this dark room. So maybe we can make contrast by making the character to have some light on his face. So I will have a character here, like just standing up, and we can illuminate that character. And maybe there could be another elements on the background. So I talk about how to have contrast here. And also the other way around, like having a white canvas and making our focal point to be darker. That's a way to make contrast with light and value, this one. But also we can think about color. So in that class, I had some examples where we had like on one of the movies that I chose, there were this character right here, and all of these background were green because there were a lot of bushes and grass and everything. And the way to make contrast, the character was painted here. His clothes was red. So that's how you make it contrast with color. You can think about a lot of colors to do contrast, like blue and orange, purple and yellow, so and so. Also, I talked about contrast in shapes. So the ones who saw the class, maybe you remember that we have a screen from Birds of Prey, the movie of Harley Quinn. In one of the scenes, she was like, I haven't seen that movie, but I saw the screenshots, and she was like a dancer in that scene, and it was very interesting because we have all of these people making like all of those were hands, just in case. Of course, this is a terrible drawing, but you get the idea. And they were making a circle around her head. So I talk about how to make contrast in shapes, like because we have a circle around her, and at the same time we had a triangle that make the hands pointing to her. And also we have another screenshot from the movie Last Jedi, Star Wars Last Jedi, where Rey was in the, I don't remember the name of the island, but her character was in this place, and here we had the ship, and in the background, of course, the background. But interesting thing was that her head was in the middle of these triangles right here, this triangle and also this triangle. So there were a lot of contrast in shapes around this area. All of them were focusing on her head. So that's how you can make a contrast in shapes by putting, it's not a good way all the time to make like a triangle and a circle, like a square and a circle or a triangle. Don't make it so obvious. Of course, the references that I showed that time were pretty obvious, but sometimes you can make it more subtle. And that's the idea in color, in composition, to make everything to be subtle. So that's how you get a good sense of composition, lighting, and everything, all of these elements working together, but in a way that the eye doesn't perceive right away that, I don't know, there are arrows pointing to the focal point, or there is a clear shape of a square or triangle. You have to make it more subtle with that. So, and we talked about unity with variety. I hate that word. A principle that Nathan Fox talks a lot about in his videos. So if you want to see his videos, it's Nathan Fox. Nathan Fox. He talks about unity, but in terms of color, because he's a very, very good artist in color. He knows how to use it. And he used that term to explain how to use color in a very balanced way. But I talked about how to use it also in composition. Like we had some examples where we had this character standing, no, not standing, sitting, yeah, sitting on a bar. And we have a lot of shapes here. And we had give me a second. So there were this guy sitting here, making a lot of contrast in shapes, but we had all of these elements around him that were pretty much the same shape all over the place. We have a bunch of squares. There were some tables, but all of them were aligned in this particular area. So the thing here is that the characters sitting on the couch here was acting like a interesting point because his shape, the way that he was sitting, uh, broke all of the unity around him. So that's a way to make a contrast in terms of making a lot of the elements in the background look the similar shapes, but just a couple of points on the scene will be different, and that will make my eye to look that specific place of the composition. Let me see if there is some question or some things in the chat, so I can go. Is there a stream? And guys, I'm recording the class just in case, so don't worry about it. Okay, so that was a quick overview of the last class. And now we are going to talk about camera shots. So first, a composition should have a rhythm, balance between space and negative area. Lead the eye to the center of your comp where the action takes place. That is what composition is all about. And how we can make rhythm and balance in our compositions. Because if we are making like a storyboard for a movie or animation, we have to make all of the scenes has a purpose. For example, the main character is interacting with another one. And so we have to choose some camera shots or maybe shapes or maybe the colors to work together in a way that, okay, this character is talking with this other character, but maybe they are talking about, I don't know, life, like they are thinking about what they're going to do in their future. So of course, all of the colors, all of the things that are in the composition has to make me like understand that the overall feeling is like we are thinking about the future. We have reflexive conversations. If, for example, these two characters are fighting to each other, that will change everything on the composition. The shapes, maybe we are going to see more angular shapes. The camera maybe is going to be more angular in some fighting scenes. For example, from John Wick, there is a lot of camera changes very fast, and also in very angular uh, place. Yeah. So everything will change depending on what we want to communicate in our scene. But first, we are going to talk about something we should avoid and things that we should try. Like, for example, we have these compositions that are very simple. This is not necessarily wrong. Like, for example, here we have a character, I don't know, standing in the middle. This is not necessarily wrong. Or for example, here, I don't know, we can have like a castle. And here maybe we can have like, I don't know, some bird. This is not wrong, but we should try to avoid this because all of these compositions are very stable, are very balanced in a way, in a wrong way. It makes our composition a little bit boring. In some of the scenes, for example, from a movie, we can use these shots like a very middle center composition to give a certain idea, to explain us a particular thing about the movie or the character. For example, one of the shots that we are going to see is about having a full character standing. Like we are presenting a character. And most of the times when in a movie we are presenting a character, or maybe the character is giving a speech or whatever, maybe we are going to see this kind of camera shot, like he's right in the middle. We have a full shot of his body, but what we is usually more interesting to the eye is to see differences, not to see everything to be stable. So we are going to try to avoid this, and we are going to use other kinds of placement of the character or maybe the background. Like for example here, so the same castle that I made maybe could be in this place. And maybe we have some mountains over there. This will make the scene look more interesting. Or here, I don't know, we have what could be? Like a person maybe standing on a hill watching the ocean. There is a ship over there. So as you see, the focal point becomes more interesting, have another purpose. It's more dynamic, it has more rhythm, the composition, and that's the idea. Not to make everything to look the same, to look everything in the middle, to look everything stable. Like for example, right here, maybe we can have a boat. But maybe it will be more interesting if that same boat is on top. And maybe we can create a story. Like for example, there is a guy here swimming, I don't know. And there is a big monster. It gave us more room to make more interesting stories to tell. So shot choices help establish the rhythm and the meaning of of a scene. And we are going to see now some shots. And I did some compositions related to that shot. So for example, one of the first ones that we are going to see is establishing or wide shot, establishing shot or wide shot. It helps establish the geography, time, and scale of the objects, and transition between scenes. It also gives details about the location. We usually see this kind of compositions when we are seeing the movie for the first time, and the movie show us the world where all of these characters are going to have their stories. So we use this shot to see everything in detail, in a gorgeous detail. For example, if we are seeing a castle, we are not going to see a specific room of a castle. The first thing that we are going to see is the entire castle and everything that is around the castle. So it's a very good resource to establish the world that the characters are going to live. And also, sometimes we can use a character in this particular shot to make a comparison from the size of the character and the size of the environments around him. Like, for example, here I did a oh my god, I forgot how to his name in English. Un ciervo. Okay, there is un ciervo. But he's small, and we have all of these forests, the lake, the river. So we have a clear idea of this character, of this element of the story. Maybe he's not the main character, but it gave us more details about the kind of life that there is in this world, that is living in this world. So that is establishing our wide shot. It's up to you to put a character or not. We usually see this kind of shot without characters. The next one is a master shot. Shows the location and the characters within a scene and where they are in relationship to each other. So here I said that we can see the character very small in comparison to the environment, just to give us a small idea about the comparison in terms of shapes and sizes. But here, it will be more important to see the character bigger and how is interacting with the world around him. So we are going to see more details about the world itself. Like it's not a wide shot where we see the entire forest here. We just see a small amount of details. Like, for example, this is a Japanese garden, and we have this character that is looking at the flowers, the garden. And we can also have a lot of characters in this particular shot, the master shot. Like, for example, we can see that in some movies, we have a first introduction to an entire family, for example. So in that particular shot, we see all of the family members in that shot. Like, for example, in The Incredibles, there is a master shot where the first Incredibles, when we see the characters are having a dinner in the house, and we see all of them interacting to each other, and we see clearly the relationship that they have with each other. That is called a master shot. Let me see the Discord if there is some question or something. Okay. Nope. If you have any question, just let me know in the chat. So the next one is long or full shot. Shows the full character within a scene. It gives us crucial details about the personality and the clothing that she or he is using. So this is the example that I showed to you like a couple of, like right here, where I said that the character is in the middle. We see him in her full glory. This is a full shot. it's not that typical to see this kind of shot. It's not um, it's not that common. Sorry, but we can use it to, like it said here, to have a full sense of the personality of the character, the clothing, uh, but it's specifically for one character only. It's not about having, for example, I was talking about the Incredibles. It's not about having an entire family. It's just about having one character. For example, there is some movie about ballet. We can have the main character dancing alone. Maybe we can have the other dancers around that character, but are on the background, are not interfering with the main character. We only see this character. That's he is important or she is important. So that is a long or full shot. We also have a medium shot, which is very, very, very common, especially in conversations, often used to show characters interaction. Interaction. Oh my God, interaction. Interaction. Tion. Tion. Often used to show character interaction. So here we see, of course, two characters talking to each other. And we use, why is called medium shot? Well, if a full shot is about showing the entire body of the character, here is about showing the character, but only to half of the body. Usually where um, before the hips start, because that's another shot called the cowboy shot. Cowboy shot, which is a different kind of shot. It's similar to the medium shot, except that it shows a little bit of the legs and the hip. There is a gun here. And why it's called a cowboy shot? Because usually this is the place where the gun, well, the gun holding is right here in the hips of the character. So we see this part of the character, and that is a cowboy shot. And it's a medium shot when it doesn't show this part. When we cut, that will be a medium shot. And here we have three others. The close-up, where it's a good tool to highlight a change in motion or dramatic beat on the screen. Eye level, better to dig on what the character is feeling in a particular moment. Like, for example, the character, I don't know, is scared about something, or maybe is laughing about something. We want to see the character emotion in our full glory. So we typically use a close-up to show that. Sometimes we maybe get confused with what a close-up shot is, because maybe we think about a close-up as extreme close-up, where we see like a specific element of the character, like the eye, the nose, the mouth, etc. But a close-up is not that close to the character. It's more far. It's not a medium shot. It's like right in the middle, from this to a medium shot. So then we have extreme close-up or insert shot, where it frames a subject to isolate a specific area. It can be part of the body or an animated object crucial to the story. So it's not usually we don't usually use it just to show a part of the body, but we usually use it to show some elements that are very important to the scene. Like for example, like here I drew a watch. That maybe this character is her watch, and she's looking at the time, and because of the time here, I don't know, something is going to happen. And the numbers are all the way around because I did a flip canvas, but that's okay. And that's a different from extreme close up or insert shot from close up. And those are the camera shots that I wanted to show you today. In the next class, I'm going to show some others. But what we are going to do now is to do kind of homework, where we are going to pick one movie, identify at least 3 of the camera shots, and study them. Also, we are going to try to search for the elements that we talked about the last class, and we did in the overview about the contrast in light and shadow, shapes, color, etc. And we are going to make studies with that. So in this class, I'm going to make a couple of studies just to show you how is my thinking process, like trying to analyze all of these composition rules, camera shots. And then maybe the next week, I'm going to do a hangout like I did the past week. And maybe we are going to start having these studies together. Like we're going to show some frames of a movie, and we are going to paint them together. So right now I'm going to show you how we can study these camera frames. So I'm going to Google. I think I'm not showing the internet. I mean the Google, just only the Photoshop. And that's okay. Okay, so give me one moment. I'm going to search for a couple of shots. Okay. Here's one. Two. And three. These are from Hansel and Gretel, just in case. And I took them from this website, Film Grab. I'm going to share the website on the chat. There. So in this 3 shots, we are going to identify the shots that we just saw. So here, for example, we have a white shot. White shot is not establishing shot because usually this one doesn't have characters in, but here we have. So it's more like a wide shot. Are similar, but not necessarily the same. Here we have a master shot because we have all of the characters. I haven't seen this movie, So I'm guessing that this is these are family members, or maybe people from the village that Hansel and Gretel are living. But to me, these characters are important. Maybe not, but that doesn't matter, because it also works as a master shot, and we can use this same composition and do our own compositions, learning how a master shot works, having characters there. So this is a master shot. And here we have a medium shot. No. Yes. Medium shot. It's almost a close shot. But for now, I'm just going to leave it as it is, a medium shot. Close shot. It's a little bit in between these two. Okay, so we have our 3 shots: establishing shot, a wide shot, a master shot, and a medium close shot, sort of. And now I'm going to draw on top of them just to study what is going on the scene. So here, for example, we have one of our elements that is contrast in light, in value. In all of this area, we had a lot of contrast in value. We have a lot of contrast here on the sun. Mostly the contrast is right here, because we want to see the sun first and then this character here. So there is like a reading lecture. So we have contrast in light and shadow. Also, we have, I'm going to write them. Give me a sec. So contrast, light and shadow, or value. Also contrast in shapes. No. Unity. We have a lot of elements that are the same. The entire foreground is the same element. Here we have all of these elements are the same. All of them are trees, not any particular different from each other. Of course, they are different from each other, but to the eye, they all look the same, except the one in the middle. That is very different. And it's very different because it doesn't have a lot of how to say leaf, the leaves. It doesn't have a lot of leaf. So the tree here looks very skinny in comparison to the others. So that makes a huge contrast, a huge difference from all of the other trees in this area that looks almost the same. We have a repetition in the shapes of the clouds in different order, but they all look almost the same shape. But here in this part, we have different shapes that breaks the unity of all of the composition. The tree, this sort of triangular shape of the character. Also, we have this shape here of the tree. Also, another triangular shape. We have the horse. These shapes are very different from the environment that looks almost the same thing. So that's how we can make this. There isn't a lot of contrast in color. It's very subtle. So I'm not going to write it here. Right now, I just see those elements like contrast in value in this part of the scene. And we have this. Because the place, I mean, the shapes of the character, the shape of the tree, the shape of the elements here that are close to the character are very different from the unity in all of the environment. And that helps to break the unity, and that helps to make interesting focal point. And here we have sort of the same thing that I talk about the sun having more contrast than the character. So that way we see the sun first and then we travel to the character. Here happens the same thing. What my eye is doing is looking at this character first and then going all the way here to this couple. These characters in the middle are acting like a bridge to this place, from here to here, point A to point B. And of course, all of these characters has a lot of contrast in value. Value. And also we have a lot of unity with variety. These characters, except this one, all of them look the same shape. So there is a lot of unity here. Almost the same shape. That also helps my eye not to look at all of these people at the first time. Of course, the more we start to the scene, the more time we have to appreciate all of these characters, their differences from each other. But in a first glance, we only see this old man and this couple right here. And that tells me, maybe I'm wrong because I haven't seen the movie, that these two characters are more important, or maybe they are going to appear often in the movie. And all of these characters, maybe not. Like I said, I haven't seen the movie, so maybe I'm mistaken. But that is my thinking when I'm seeing this scene and the way all of the elements are arranged in the composition. And of course, because it's a master shot, I have to think about the relationship of the characters, not the environment. In a wide shot, I do have to think about the environment and the character. But here, the environment, it doesn't matter. I only care about the characters and the relationship within each other. And here, let me see if there is some questions. No, I think not. Okay. Here we have a medium shot, almost a close shot. Is something in between. Because to be a medium shot, we should see more of this character, but we are not. And it's very important, the expression of the character. Remember that I said that the close shot is useful to show the expression of the character. What is he feeling in a particular scene of the movie? So we are using that particular shot to show that Hansel is looking, I don't know, maybe the house is right there where he's looking. Or maybe there is something else, I don't know, he saw a wolf, I don't know. But because of the way this scene is composed as a medium close shot, we are seeing a lot of details in his expression. And the elements in the background all are helping to focus on this kid, the main protagonist here. Here we see a lot of contrast in shapes. Where? Here. This trunk, I think it's a trunk, is acting like a bridge to make a triangle. Or maybe the triangle is right here. But it's not coincidence that this trunk is right here. It helps to make an imaginary shape around this character. Excuse me. So we are going to use it. Okay. Maybe there is a triangle here. Also, what is interesting is that all of the trees right here in the background have, let me use another color. Has the same separation from each other, except in this place, in this area, where the trees are more separate to each other, are not that close to each other, like right here or here, especially where all of the trees are very close to each other. They act like one single shape. All of this is like one single shape. But in this place of the composition, all of the trees tend to separate from each other a little bit more. So it makes more contrast because we have the sky on the background. So it gives us an opportunity to make contrast in value, a very strong contrast in value. So we see the silhouette of the character very clearly against the background. Excuse me. Also, the placement right here, then let me use, we have here. The placement of the trees is very interesting also, because at the beginning I said we shouldn't. Oh, give me a second. What is happening with Photoshop? Oh, at the beginning of the lecture, I said that we should avoid um, adding elements or tangents in the middle of the composition, and make like this line to be maybe on top, or maybe could be lower than the middle. So that is what is happening here. We see clearly a line that is not in the middle, it's in this part of the shot. I don't know if it is intentional or not, or maybe I'm just imagining things, but it's funny that this line is like cutting his head. Like this guy is in trouble, of course. He's in a hurry. That could be intentional or maybe not, but it's interesting to see sometimes those elements working. But if it's not intentional, maybe we can make it intentional. Like all of the things are aligned in the placement of his neck. So we tend to think that the person here is in a hurry. He is in danger. Something is cutting his head off. So we can use it. And I think that's pretty much it. Also, it's very important to notice that in his neck he has a red thing, which makes a lot of contrast with the green tone of the entire environment. Of course, it's not saturated and has a lot of dark value around it, but even in that subtle, the color may contrast anyway, because the green around the character is very subtle also. It's like green and blue, and in a way it makes contrast with the red of his clothing, and that is also an element of contrast, an element of composition. So excuse me, this is what I want you to do. Like, take a movie, maybe if you have it on Netflix or Disney Plus, watch the entire thing or skip some parts and try to see these shots that are here. A standing shot or wide shot, a master shot, a long or full shot, a medium shot, a close-up, extreme close-up, or insert shot. And after you pick 3 or 6, try to analyze these other elements also: contrast in shapes, value, color, and unity with variety. And it's your choice to do it this way, like drawing on top, or maybe you can just do an entire study and paint the study. It's up to you. I usually, well, back then I did a lot of painting, but one of the problems that I usually encounter while doing this I mean, this is a personal problem. It's not something that will happen to everyone. But when I try to study composition, I just try to do this, like draw on top, because I tend to focus too much on just color because I love color, the way it works, the way you can make a balance and all of that. So I tend to get lost in trying to, okay, I have to paint the same sky with the same color, with the same clouds and everything. And then I forget to, oh no, I should only be thinking about the sun here, the tree, the character, the shapes, the midground, the foreground, and forget about the color. Um, but it's up to you. Of course, painting is more fun, and I get that. So in a next, not in a next class, in a next hangout that I'm going to do here on Discord, but in my own channel, this very down below. We're going to do these types of exercises. And if you have any questions, you can make them in that place, or you can share your own studies and all of that. It will be fun. It's very fun to do this kind of studies about composition and to think about all of these elements working together. It's a very beautiful thing. And that's it for now. If you have a question, just leave it in the chat, or maybe you can now open your mic and ask a question. But that was the class today about camera shots. Maybe I can share the PSD also, so you can guys have it. But that is all for now. I'm going to stop sharing. Okay. A PSD will be great. Cool. Yeah, I'm going to share it. Thank you for the class. It was very informative. Thank you guys for staying here. Listen to my horrible English. I'm practicing. Thank you. Thanks to you. And have a happy new year. Well, we are in New Year, but we can still have fun. Once again, thank you so much. Thank you guys. See you next class. And I'm going to write on my channel when I'm going to do the hangout, so we can draw together and talk more about composition. It's not going to be a class, so everyone can talk at the same time. Maybe not at the same time, it will be a disaster, but we can all talk. What was the homework again? Oh, thanks, Played Rose. Yeah, that is the homework. I'm going to share the PSD. That will be the homework also, so don't worry about that. And I'm recording, so I'm going to share the recording on